Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This interview is going to be brought to you by Casa Sanchez Foods, the greatest, the best chips and salsa in California, maybe the whole United States, maybe the whole world. All right, that's it. Ready? We're ready. Good evening, everybody. Just wanted to mention our good friends at Casa Sanchez, our sponsor. Okay, thank you. I think we're ready to go. I got my good friend with me tonight, Fernando Sandoval. He's the, tell him what you are now. Just won that election.
Hey, I just won the election. Hold on, let me come right over here.
Oh, that's good.
Hey, hi, this is Fernando Sandoval. I just won election for Contra Costa County Community College Governing Board Trustee. So it was an election. Now I will represent over 1 million people in Contra Costa County for education. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm here with Bobby. We're going to give you a great treat for tonight. I'm going to let Bobby take it away.
Thank you very much. Yeah, in about 4 minutes, we're going to bring in Leo Rosales. Leo was formerly with the group Malo. You remember him with many good hits, Nena, Suavecito, and many others. And he can tell you all about it. So look forward to that. Okay? Thank you very much. And we're going to stop right now. Can you hear the music?
No.
Here we go.
Oh, I can now, yes.
I like that song. It sounds like a hit from Malo.
It's going in it.
Sounds familiar. Yeah. Things like memories. You got sound, man. Yeah, that is Nena. Huh? Oh, it's Nena. Yeah, it's Nena. Huh? Mm-hmm. If I say Canada? No, it's by Malo.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that's Sarcillo Garcia. Leo Rosales.
What's up, bro? How are you?
Wonderful, bro. I'm so happy to finally get you here to do this interview.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm glad we were able to finally hook it up.
Yes, sir.
We're here. Right on, man.
Let's see. I think you're a Buccaneer. Aren't you a Buccaneer?
Sure. Buccaneer all the way.
Oh, right.
Buccaneer gear. Yeah, it's here somewhere.
Yeah. No, we believe it. I was also a Balboa Buccaneer, but a few years before you.
Yeah, I was. I went right from graduating as a senior to playing with Malo.
Okay.
I just got out of high school. Raul and I both. Raul Rico.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. They used to pick us up at the front of the school on Cayuga.
Yes.
Chris Wong in his big four-door Cadillac, and Raul and I would be like the talk of the town. You know, the seniors in high school at Balboa, walking to this beautiful Cadillac, getting in the car, and then we would drive away, and the students would be like, "What? What's up with these guys?" You know, we drive to Drumland, which was over there, I think, on Eddy Street, where it was a drum. You know, everything was drums there, and the people that owned it were famous studio musicians. Whenever, like, you know, Frank Sinatra, Count Basie, all those big bands would come into town, the guys that owned Drumland were the top tier musicians that were brought in from the union to go play at these things. And then during that period of time is when Raul and I were with Malo. We used to go over there all the time, and that's where we would buy all our gear.
Right. I remember that. I used to deliver papers there in the Tenderloin.
Yeah,
I
right, exactly.
remember that.
Right. Yeah,
Okay. Wow. So, I mean, you had an amazing career with Malo.
right.
Now, you traveled around the world
Well,
with
I would
Malo.
like to say, to say that we did travel around the globe, but actually we did a lot of touring in the United States. As far as like when I was with them, we went as far as Hawaii, all the way to Puerto Rico, all the way to Brownsville, Texas, and
Right.
all the way up to Vancouver, Ontario, Montreal, Canada.
Wow.
But when I was with them, the farthest we ever went away was when we went to Puerto Rico to play over there. Never had can't say I never had that awesome opportunity to travel around the world. I think Malo didn't really go too far outside of the United States, other than maybe there was a time where when Arcilio had Malo some years ago, they went to the Philippines, and we went to Mexico City and traveled around there a little bit. And then I know that I think that's about as far as we went. As far as when I was with them, they may
Right.
have done more after, but
No, well, that's still a lot. I mean,
oh yeah, it's great.
it wasn't just in the Bay Area
No, no, no,
that
no.
way.
Yeah,
Okay. New
yeah,
York, Carnegie Hall.
yeah. We did Carnegie Hall when we first went out on tour. Um, we went out on tour with Quicksilver and 10 Years After. That
Okay.
was the show. Quicksilver, actually Malo, we opened up the show, and then it was Quicksilver, and then the headliner was usually 10 Years After. So we went after the album came out. We did a couple of simultaneous shows, one from here in San Francisco, and then we flew to New York and we played at the Village Gate, and we did a live simulcast from the Village Gate in New York City to San Francisco. And then we did different places, Rhode Island, Staten Island. We went to Connecticut. We played in New York City college with Billy Preston and Mike McLaughlin.
Really go around in circles.
Yeah, and then the beauty was when we were there, it was like a surprise that we were playing in Carnegie Hall, and we were the headliners there at Carnegie Hall, and we sold the place out.
Wow.
And we had completed. And New York's not an easy place to play because
Oh, yeah.
the audience has a real high standard. So I know that a couple of times we went out there to play, and that's kind of a Latin jazz, salsa, jazz, Afro-Cuban oriented. That's like where the hub. A lot of that music, disseminates through there, and it goes out through the other parts of the country. So when we went out there, we learned very quickly that you had to be on top of your game to play in New York City for
Right.
whoever it was. You could play out at a street
Right.
fair, or you could play in a theater, or you could play in Central Park, but you better be on your game because they didn't give applause out just because you played in New York and you were from San Francisco. You had to really let the fans or the people that were coming out to hear you, you had to show that you were a good player.
That's
So,
right.
so that's why I was so incredibly taken back when we played in New York and they told us, that we had sold the place out. So that was great there. And then while we were there, we also played in the Central Park. And the great Willie Colon, who was a salsa, great from New York City, he befriended us, and he came out and brought his trombone and played with us. When we were in Carnegie Hall,
Yeah.
we invited Tito Puente to come out to play with us, or I'm sorry, to come and, hear us play. We got him a front row seat, and for our performance. And unfortunately, he couldn't make it, and he sent a message out to us saying that, I'm sorry, I couldn't make the show tonight, but I had to be at my club because he owned a club called the Corso nightclub in New York City.
Uh-huh.
And so he says, I'm sorry that I couldn't come out, but I want to make it up to you guys. I want your whole band to come to the Corso after you guys do your show at Carnegie Hall. So after the show, there we were, the entire Malo band. minus maybe a couple of guys, but I would say the majority of the band was on the stage with Tito Puente, playing alongside with him. And Bill Graham, the rock promoter, he was there. Dave Rubinson, who was a producer for the band, was there. So it was probably, for sure, one of the highlights of the career of playing with Malo, and that was, doing Carnegie Hall.
Great.
So, yeah.
Did you have an opportunity to get out to Harlem?
You know what? I don't remember going out there because while we were there, we were busy rehearsing. I know that they got us studio instrument rentals, rehearsing studio.
Right.
And we were doing, we were preparing for other shows because we were on tour. So we were in town for a couple of days and we'd jump on a plane and go somewhere else and play there. So Jorge and Pablo, it was really important to them that we rehearse. So instead of, just getting there and then, catching a cab and going here and going there,
Right.
We didn't have that opportunity. But New York is a killer town.
Right. I've been there a few times.
Yeah.
Stayed out in Manhattan for a month, and
That's where I met Martin Cohen from LP. And the way I met Martin Cohen from LP was we were rehearsing or doing a sound check at Carnegie Hall. And there was a guy walking around in the front with his camera taking pictures. And then he said, because I had this different kind of a cowbell on my timbales, and he wanted to know what that was. And I explained it to him, and he goes, do you know who I am? And I said, no. And he goes, I'm Martin Cohen. I said, he said, you're playing the timbales that I make. And I was like, whoa, I was blown away, right?
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. And he goes, I want to talk to you after the show. I said, great. So he came and saw the show, loved the band. And then later he said to me, he goes, hey, I'd like to, I'll pick you up tomorrow morning at your hotel and I'll give you a tour of New York City. So the next day he picked me up with his family, and he had his camera, and he had his son was carrying his tripod, and then he gave me the royal tour of New York. And then we actually got on one of the boats that they have out there in the harbor. And we did the whole trip around Manhattan, and then he says, hey, he goes, I want you to would you like to endorse my timbales? And I said, damn, sure. I think I was maybe one of the first ones in San Francisco to endorse LPs. So that's when we developed a relationship, and then we ended up, we know each other to this day, which is probably over 50 years ago. So New York has nothing but wonderful memories there. When I was there with Francisco Aguavea, I met Mongo Santa Maria, Armando Peraza, a bunch of heavyweights, Hector Lavoe, and I was just a kid, but I was hanging out with Francisco, so that gave me clout, So as long as I was with him, everybody, received me into the fold. And so New York has really beautiful memories for me.
I got to ask, what was your age at that time, Leo?
I had just turned 18.
Wow. Okay.
18 years old. I just went right from Balboa High School, like I said, to playing with Malo.
Amazing. Yeah. Wow, I love it. Dick Clark, American Bandstand.
All right. So we had Suavecito, which was a hit on the radio, and whether it was a flash in the pan, like a lot of the groups that came through American Bandstand, some of them have longevity, like Michael Jackson, like Elvis Presley, like, all the people that went on to do great things. So Suavecito got us the opportunity to play on American Bandstand. So we flew out there on a Saturday, and we went to the studio, and we had my claim to fame is that I had my makeup done for singing on American Bandstand in Henry Mancini's makeup chair. And Henry Mancini was one of my all-time favorites. Peter Gunn, he did movies with Peter Sellers, Breakfast at Tiffany's, all these great musical scores that Henry Mancini wrote. And he was one of my favorite, idols when I was growing up listening to his beautiful music. And so there I was getting my makeup done in his makeup chair. So I thought, damn, you know, I
What could
made
be
it.
better?
I made it to the top. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we were at the studio, and you know, just to, you know, I think it's important to tell the details to make the story even more exciting. We were in the back getting our makeup done, and then right before we went on the stage, a person that I had brought with me, we were in the very back room by ourselves smoking big bowls of hash before I went on to sing the song, and so I lip synced. I
Right.
lip synced
Okay.
Suavecito to Richard Bean's voice because they used the original soundtrack,
Okay.
and they said, you're going to lip sync to this voice. And I said, good. So I always try to make sure that I don't take credit for something that I didn't do. And I
Thank
was
you. Yeah.
always proud to sing that song because I thought Richard did such a spectacular, brilliant piece on that tune. You know, his voice was just dead on the money. And so I tried to do it justice by knowing the lyrics well enough to where when I was singing it, it gave it credibility, right? So so that was a great experience. And Dick Clark was a real super nice man. Just like you see him on his show every Saturday, you know, very pleasant, very friendly, very talkative, very forthcoming. He was that same way, meeting him in person. He came back, he met the whole band, he shook everybody's hand. He kept saying what a pleasure it was to have us there with him. So so that was our experience with him. He was very nice to us. They did two shows that day. There was a group called Scorpio that had a hit single on the radio as well. So Malo played first. We did our show, and then they have an audience of people that come in from different parts of the city, and they give them a wardrobe change, and they give them makeup, and then they come back out for the next group. So they did like 2 shows a day, and then the show aired 2 weeks later.
Right.
And then when I saw myself singing 2 weeks later, my eyes were all bloodshot from smoking the hash.
You look great, man. I
Yeah.
mean, you, Jorge,
Yeah.
and Arcelo. I didn't recognize everybody else, but Dick Clark. That's the last time I seen him was at Mary Wells' funeral down in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
He was there. Barry Gordy, Smokey Robinson, members of the Shirelles, a lot of people from that era.
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder, yeah.
Unfortunately, there was a fire at Paramount in the area that they had all of the tapes from, from ABC
Right.
in a vault. And unfortunately, the Malo tape of us singing on that program got destroyed. So there's no video of us playing on American Bandstand. The video that's out on YouTube of me singing it, and that was live, is on Kenny Rogers' "Rolling on the River," and that was like an American Bandstand program, and it was out of Vancouver, and Kenny Rogers, who was the leader of Kenny Rogers in the first edition,
Right. Yeah.
had a program called "Rolling on the River," and he brought in groups that had hits on the radio. So that one is
That's where that's
available.
from.
What's that?
That's where that is from. That.
Yeah, that video that's on YouTube, that's
Right.
not American Bandstand. That's "Rolling on the River" with Kenny Rogers.
Oh, that's good to know. It's interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, I have stills of American Bandstand, but as far as a video in the archives, unfortunately,
They're gone.
that fire, it got destroyed.
Wow, interesting. Wow. Well, Dick Clark's been around a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
I've
It was an
talked to-
honor. I mean, sure.
Right. Well, the people from the Platters, Buck Ram, he had invited me. Well, Gene Bennett, his manager, they invited me over to their place in Las Vegas. They had a ranch. They invited me there, and they really treated me well. And we had discussed about, payola. Dick Clark used to pay, but he got away with it. And she was telling me, we talked about it, and Alan Freed got busted, and they destroyed him. And but Dick Clark got away with that. That's how slick he was, and you seen how he ended up, doing the New Year's thing and
Yeah, he got
the
sick.
game shows, everything. He was so slick. Dick Clark was
Stadium for
the greatest, man.
Right.
But
So what else can I tell you about Malo?
yeah. Oh well. What else can you tell me about Malo? Well, Jorge.
Yeah.
Jorge was. You guys were like brothers. You
Yeah.
know. We
I met
we
both-
we lost him. What, about a month ago? Is it
No, it probably more like
two?
like I would say 8 months ago. Not 8 months. I'm sorry, about 8 weeks ago, if not
8 weeks.
more.
Thank you, man. I lose track of time. And then Arcelio.
Yeah, Arcilio's probably about a month, 4 weeks, 6 weeks back. I'm not sure exactly when, but those are two great losses.
Right.
Jorge, I met Jorge through Arcilio because when I was playing with my own band when I was 16, 17 years old, we had a group called Soul Sauce. And we were still in high school, and we were experimenting with horns. Maybe we had 5 horns, and we had, drummer, percussionist, kind of following Santana's layout of percussion. And then we were listening to Blood, Sweat, and Tears and Cold Blood and, Chicago. So we decided to experiment. So we had friends who played horns. So we had saxophones, trumpets, trombones, lead guitar players, singers, and this and that and the other. So a friend of mine, George Bermudez, his brother Ronald used to take us to the nightlife on Silver and San Bruno back in the day. And we used to get a fake ID and sneak in there, and just for the purpose to play, because the Malibus were playing in there.
Right.
They were the talk of the town. So to get in there to jam with them was a big thing for me because, I didn't really hang out in nightclubs. We played at a couple of places, the Tropicana, which, if you had $1, the guy let you in, even if you weren't 21, and so going there with Ronald, he'd take us there on the weekends, and he'd tell Arcelio, hey, just let Leo play timbales on a couple of songs. So Arcelio would let me play, and we hit it off. We had a good chemistry, and every time I'd come, he'd invite me up on the stage to play, and Chapito would come out there and he would play. So I got to get to know the band on that level, and then I went on to do the thing with my band, and eventually, when Malo recorded the first album, Arcelio called me and wanted to know if I wanted to audition for the band. And I told him, I said, well, I got my band right now, and we'd like to make it ourselves, just like you guys did. He goes, yeah, but we're already signed. We're already in the studio. We're already getting ready to mix down. We're going out on tour. We got a song that's going to be a hit on the radio. And he goes, this is already laid out for you. Just come and do it. So he says, just trust me. Come out and rehearse with us and see what you think. I said, okay. So they were at the heliport in Sausalito, and that's where they were rehearsing. So when I walked in there, the caliber of musicians that were in there, Pablo was in there playing bass, Jorge was playing lead guitar, Richard Kermode from Janis Joplin and the Holding Company was playing keyboard, Tom Poole from Boss Skaggs and Cold Blood was playing trumpet. Tom Harrell, great jazz player, Mike Heathman, great trombone player. And then Raul Rico was coming in there, and myself, and Richard Spremich on drums, and Abel Zarate, from Naked Lunch. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? Look at who are these guys? These guys are great. I felt like, wow, because I was playing with a lot of high school people, and we were doing our best, cutting our teeth, on getting good on our instruments. And this caliber, just like, you gotta be on it, because the producers for Warner Brothers were the ones that are saying, you keep this guy, you get rid of that guy. You keep this guy, you get rid of that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they were going to produce it. They were handing over all the cash. I think they had like a contract like of $100,000 that they were willing to put up for the Malo band, and they were going to have some say in who the musicians were going to be. Right. Sell it, and that happens all the time.
Right. Yeah.
So that's how I went to the rehearsal. I was able to knock it out of the park, and then they offered me the gig, and then Raul got the gig, and then that's how I really became friends with Jorge and with Pablo, and then we traveled, we played everywhere. We played at the Whiskey A Go Go for weeks with Tower Power. We toured up and down California with Sean Anna, Steve Miller Band, Tower Power, and Malo. Those four bands, we played every weekend, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, for Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez when they were doing farm worker rallies out in the farms up and down California, Redding, Fresno, Bakersfield, San Diego. So we had a lot of friendship building, So, and then, time went by, and then I left Malo, and, they went on to do 3 more albums. And then eventually Jorge broke off from that and started doing his own thing, then went off and played with his brother for a while. And years went by, and we eventually, through this group that we started called Momotombo SF, we always told Jorge that the door was open to him, and that whether he played or not, we considered him part of the family. And we considered that if we're playing somewhere and you happen to have your guitar and your amplifier and you walk in the door, you just come and set your stuff up and you start playing. You don't have to let us know ahead of time that you're coming. This is your band. This is your familia right here. So with that open door policy that we gave him, he eventually, we did a year together playing. And I think we did maybe 7 to 10 shows. And out of all of those shows, he only missed one. And he was there for every rehearsal, for every show that we did. We always put him on the marquee as a special guest. And he never asked for that, but in his honor, we felt that it was the right thing to do. So the last year and a half, him and I had the chance to rekindle our friendship and to rekindle our relationship and to let things of the past go by the wayside and not have any weight to how that was affecting us as brothers and as musicians. So the last show that we did together was March 6th in Arizona.
Right.
We had Carl Perazzo with us. He was our special guest, and he flew out there with us to play. But we had just a major headlining group of guys, from the Bay Area that we took with us. We had David Flores on drums. We had Dave Morgan on bass. We had Bobby Crawford on keyboard. We had Akil Mestahier on congas. We had Gabe Monzo on lead guitar. Bob Sandoval on trombone. Jorge Santana on lead guitar. Frank Bailey on trumpet. And it was just an all-star cast. And that was the last time we played together. And Jorge was so happy and full of joy after that set, because he thought that we really went into that river of pure emotion, of talent. The whole band was just right on the money, And then when we came home, he was getting ready to release his CD that he had just finished. And we had 15 shows lined up for 2020. And then the COVID came. And then all the shows, he had 30 shows lined up that all got canceled on him.
Wow.
And then we had 15 shows at Momotombo SF that we had to cancel. And then some weeks had passed by, and then we got the unfortunate news that our brother had passed
Right. Well, I have
away. So,
yeah. Well, I had the opportunity to be with you guys at the Little Fox in Redwood City with Abel Sanchez.
right.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I was up in the dressing room with Jorge, and I interviewed him, and we had a wonderful conversation. It was like a private interview and whatever. And he told me, Bobby, I'm very private. And yeah, I know that. I've been around you many times. And we did the show in Roseville, We did a
All right.
couple out there,
Over there.
and we got some nice photos. And I see you all the time. I got your photos here that we took at Balboa together, you and I, with Raul Rico. The ones we took in Roseville, the ones we took in at the Little Fox. But we're back on the Little Fox, and we took picture, and George goes, no. Jorge says, no, on stage. I said, no. I just introduced the band. Abel's he's gonna get pissed off. Why are you up on the stage again? I said, no. Jorge pulled me up on stage and gave me a hug, and a few people took those pictures, and I treasure those, you know, and I will always treasure them. But such a terrible loss, you know, we're gonna really miss him forever.
For sure.
But I was so grateful that I was able to do those shows with you, MC those last few shows. I got a big compliment for you from Dr. Gonzalez. He was telling me, Bobby, you got to hear this, you know, Mamba Tumbo SF. We just did a show in Arizona, and that's the show you're talking about, the last show.
Right.
And I of course I knew about you guys and everything, but you just told us about that last show, everybody who was on it. And I was talking to Gabe, and you know, I want to interview him next. But I interviewed Dr. Gonzalez, and you can hear that, and he complimented you guys very much. You guys are the best. You know, Malo band. I mean, anybody? No more Malo. That was it. You know.
Right. Yeah, with Jorge and Arcelio deceased, Malo is to be put to rest.
And I have to agree with you guys.
Yeah, because Malo was Arcelio, number one.
Right.
And Malo was Jorge Santana.
Right.
Malo was Abel Zarate. Malo was Pablo Tellez. Those were the guys. Those were the cats that that took the legend, you know, across the country. You know, so you know, we could easily like try to take the name and start using it again, but you know what? Those guys aren't there, and they are the ones.
Right.
You know, so Momotombo is the name. Momotombo SF. Momotombo is the first song on the second album. That's why we decided, instead of trying to use the name, because Arcelio had the name for 50 years.
Right.
So Gabe and I didn't think it was proper or appropriate to use the name in any way, that we thought that would be dishonoring Arcelio, because he's worked so hard to keep that name going. That guy was like the bunny, the everlasting bunny, just going, no matter what. The guy was sick on the stage, bring him up on a wheelchair, he'd grab a hold of that microphone, he'd sing. You know, he had a bad eye, he had been in the hospital, but he loved Malo and loved that stage and loved performing, that we thought to ourselves, how could we do something that would be so hurtful to him?
Right.
So we decided, you know what, let's honor him by using a name from one of the songs of the album. And that way, whenever we see him, he would be proud to come up and sing with us, because we would be honoring him like, this is Malo, this is the man right here. You know what I mean? Right. So, so that's how the band got started. And then from there, we just recruited, you know, some great players, and we worked really hard. We worked really hard rehearsing, trying to capture the essence of the tunes. We try to make the tunes, we try to own them, as they say. Own them in the sense that we played them like we wrote them right then and there. Right. Because of course, you know, Malo, we've played Nena and Café and Suavecito a million times, and if we've done it once. But the beauty of it is playing it like it's the first time. Right. You know, so.
Well, Leo, I want to thank you so very much, man. This is such a pleasure, man. I love you, brother.
I love you too. Thank you.
Looking forward to us with Abel Sanchez doing the rest of those shows, and with Mumbo Combo SF with your
Yeah,
other
we gotta
shows,
come
brother.
back.
And
We gotta come back.
most definitely, brother.
Yeah.
And much love to you, and respect. Also, we didn't get. We're to interview you again, bro, because we got to talk about your running and
Oh yeah, anytime.
you in
I'm here
Virginia.
for it.
And much love to you guys. So we're gonna get back, and it's gonna be part 2, brother.
All right, dude. God bless you.
God bless
Thanks
you.
for
Thank
having
you
me.
very much.
It's an honor. Love you, Bobby boy.
Thank you very much, man. Good night.
All right, dude.
Take care.
God bless you.
Thank you. All right.